to hear my voice. So that's why I'm asking. Can you hear me? No. No. John? No? Can you hear me now? Okay, well, Rex, you're in charge of being the Sergeant of Arms. Throw something at me if I pull this away and I can't hear me.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to try to Sergeant at Arms some of these people.
All right, I would like to introduce our speaker tonight, Jim Hughes. Jim and I met soon after he arrived. He is a native of Chicagoland. I'm not speaking, okay, sorry. All right, I'll start over. Jim is a native of Chicago. He followed the grandkids here, so he's been here now 4 years. He has been in this industry for 20. And Jim's the guy that I go to when I get those things on my phone that say I owe a parking, some kind of toll, and or other things that somehow involve money. And I'll take a screenshot and I'll text it to him and I say, Jim, what can you tell me about this? And his response invariably is delete immediately. Do not respond. Do not pass go. Anyway, Jim is kind of like the Paul Revere of identity theft. So, with that, I'll introduce Mr. Jim Hughes.
Thank you so much. So I can't start anything without first telling you why I'm hobbling. I'm a walking advertisement for full knee replacement. Been there, done that, so you know what. Any others? Full knee replacement? How about a hip? Anybody got a hip? Just had the hip? That hip was a walk in the park compared to the knee. Oh, big time. And so I'm slowly but surely becoming the titanium man. And so I'm happy to be here. So if I'm hobbling, it's just I'm getting better each and every day. And you can ask my wife, which is sitting here in the red, Dr. BBH, and feeling good. But I'd rather be standing here in a little bit of pain than not being able to deliver the message that I need to deliver tonight. And that message is so doggone important. It drives me, gets me up in the morning, keeps me up late at night. Got me to the point where I decided to write a book on what is actually going on right now. So thank you for all of you for attending. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, night, to be here, because even if you're really on top of things yourself, maybe your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, a family member, your kids are not as privy as what's going on. So today I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I want to be a Jimmy Upper and help you, if I can help one of you, to eliminate literally losing everything, then I've done my job. And hopefully you can broadcast that to all of your family members here as well. So, let me turn this on. Put in your mind, what we just got through meeting. This couple, November 1st of 2021, thank you very much. Keep clearing your throat and letting me know I'm not doing my job. November 1st, 2021. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. They sat down and said, okay, what do we want to have for dinner? Well, we want pizza. And he says, as you can tell by the look on his face, I want the smell of that sausage. So get us a sausage and cheese pizza. Ordered the pizza, paid for it with PayPal. I heard some, Paid for it with PayPal. Okay? ate the pizza, had their favorite drink, went to bed like me about 8 o'clock, and slept all night, felt good, everything was great until the next morning when they woke up to a phone call. This is PayPal. We inadvertently deposited $14,000 into your PayPal account, and we need it back right now. And if you don't give us access to your computer, I'm sort of shortening this up a little bit for this evening's talk, we will have the police at your door within the hour. Now, probably some of you have heard this over and over again, but the problem with it is all of you that look at me and say, well, Jim, I've heard that, yeah. But as we speak right now, somebody's being taken that's smart, that are educated, that are privy. My wife and my pastor in Brentwood, on the phone with a person he didn't know for an hour until that person got enough information. Slowly but surely, and I'm going to show you how they do that. And they took thousands of dollars from him. A really bright guy, educated person, knowledgeable of what's going on, and fell victim to it. It's easy because the sophistication is so strong. So, he ordered pizza, paid for it, some red flags. Does PayPal call you? Does the IRS call you? Does the city clerk of Davidson County call you? No, never. And I'm going to go one step further. Does your grandson call you and ask for money? Yes. We've got... He doesn't ask for money, but at least he calls you, right? Okay. I'll tell you a story as we go through there. The caller became trusted in that conversation. Social engineering is what we're talking about here, and it's become so sophisticated you can't recognize it. They know more about you when they call you than anybody else knows about you because they do the research. They gave access to their computer based upon the threat, the worried threat. The police are going to be here in an hour. They took $14,000 out of their bank account to Thailand. Once it's outside of the United States continental coastal line in another country, you can't retrieve it. It's gone. And this happens over and over again. I have to tell you, and I will tell you a couple more stories as we go through here. I want to stay focused on trying to get this done in 30 minutes, but not hurry it. Every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, a new identity theft. So as we speak and go through a 30-minute conversation tonight, you can figure out how many new identity thefts are occurring. Why? Because it works. Why? Because we become vulnerable. Why? Because we listen to the threat as opposed to the logic of that phone call. Now, there's 2 pictures here. The guy on the left has been scammed recently. The guy on the right, if you look real close, he's just been scammed on his phone. He's got his phone right in front of him. And that's why I wrote the book, to try to help each and every one of you. I'm going to cover 2 areas tonight that are important to you. And then for those of you who are interested and want to know the other 5 areas that are currently going on right now, you can get a copy of my book. Okay? Now, please remember, I get this all of the time. I get somebody in the audience that says, I have so many logins and passwords. What do you mean I got to do 2-factor authentication? What do you mean I need to change my passwords? What do you mean if I'm involved in a data breach, I got to change everything, including my email address? Security is not convenient. Coin this in your mind. Frame this in your mind, John. We have so many things that eat our time, right? And it's really important to understand that we need to slow down. Security is not convenient. And certainly, convenience is not secure. Frame that in your mind. Keep that in mind tonight. Take it home with you. Once you're a victim of identity theft, you have a 4 times greater chance of being involved in another identity theft, being a victim again. Why? Because they have all of your information. When they have all of your information, the thieves use it and say, oh, well, thank you very much. Use it and swept all of your accounts. I'll give you all your information back. No. They take that information once they're finished with it and they sell it on the dark web to another thief. So you are at risk. We are all at risk because most of us have been involved in a data breach anyway. So fraudulent debt. I've got a slide, I won't show it tonight, of a picture of a boy in Chicago who says, I'm 4 years old and I own a condominium in downtown Chicago. Because they used his identity to buy that piece of property. And lots of other examples, including picking up unemployment compensation in your name, under your name, even if you're retired. It's a mess. So, real important to watch very closely your identity. Lost time, stress, money. Now, that seems like just an easy 3 words to put together until you go through dealing with someone who's gone through this kind of loss of time, money, and stress. For most of us, once we're involved in something that's really stressful, we turn around and say, you know, I'd almost pay anything to get out of that stress, to get that stress off of me. And I get so many people coming to me ashamed of what they've listened to, ashamed of what they've given out to people, ashamed of being involved, being vulnerable. So if I can somewhat be a little Debbie Downer, but with a positive twist on how to protect yourself, I'm certainly going to try to do that as much as I can this evening. So that stress is a hard thing to put a money figure on, especially after I got a guy here in Franklin that had an $8,000 charge through his bank on a credit card issued by the bank. It took him a year to get that off of his record, and all kinds of fights. A year to have that hanging. And seniors, which there are a few of us in this audience today, seniors are vulnerable. You know why? We weren't raised with this in our hand. We weren't raised with the access to our bank accounts. I'm being told from the audience, keep this up here. We weren't raised, thank you very much. We weren't raised thinking about security the way we have to think today. I don't know how many of you, I was raised when we left the keys in the car in the driveway overnight. I was raised when we left the front door open, especially if it was a little steamy, and just had the screen door open, not locked. Not today. Not today. We have to be very, very careful going forward from here. $13 million a day is being stolen from each and every one of us. Now, you would say, okay, well, Jim, that's over the U.S., that's not so much. Think about it. I had a guy call me a month ago and say, Jim, I'm embarrassed to call you. I know what you do. Can you help me get my money back? And I said, tell me what happened. He said, he's 66 years old, single, has a dog, and a business. Been dating online since April. This is up until just a month. She took him from online dating to WhatsApp, which is a much more secure way to communicate, and it's not seen on the internet. Long story short, she got $520,000 out of him, and he said, Jim, I don't have any money left. I don't have any retirement. What do I do? Can you help me get that money? Involved in cryptocurrency investing. And so I can give you 10 examples of that right here in Franklin. So that's why it's so important to try to let you know what's going on here and help you see this. Social engineering. I've had a couple of people, John, I've had a couple of guys in the audience when I said, what's social engineering? And look back at me and say, well, that's an engineer that's social. Social engineering is art that has, I hate to show you that picture. Look at that image. You see what that person's getting ready to do with that pig? What do the thieves call this? Pig butchering. Pig butchering of us seniors. That means they get into you, under your skin, involved in your thinking, grab a hold of your emotions, develop your curiosity, sidestep all the safety measures that you know are there. The thieves know they exploit your emotions. Thank you, Claire, for coming back. And this is I can't emphasize this enough, how important it is to understand when someone gets you on the phone, someone gets you a text message, someone sends you a phishing email, and they attack you from an emotional standpoint. It's easy with our grandparents, our grandchildren, right? Now you talk to your grandchildren, they don't ask for money, right? Just a little tip right now. Can I give you all a little tip on this? Because it's happening all the time in our area, and that is with AI, artificial intelligence, if her grandson is on the internet or communicating with text messaging, phone, etc., I can scrape that off of the internet and build a grandson that sounds like him, has the mannerisms of him, and convinces you that that is my grandson. And so they exploit your emotions. They take time building trust, and that's a systematic way in conversations. They'll maybe have several different conversations to build that trust. Especially us older people that are really, if I lost my wife, I would be sad. I would be down. I would be lonely. That's an attack vector that's real easy for the thieves to get to. I'm sure some of you have even heard of some of these types of romance scams that have occurred because of that. Attract your curiosity, play on your ignorance, and then they use deceptive practice to bypass security measures in your mind. So, number two, so I'm just not up here as a senior representing seniors. This happens across the board. You all have children, adult children, with children, right? And so we're driving down 65 and coming back from Chicago, and we get a phone call from a 40-year-old woman, college graduate, mother, business owner, and says she got a call from the city clerk or county clerk's office saying you missed your jury duty. Did you get that same thing? And matter of fact, you missed it twice. Watch this. And we mailed it to this address, and we haven't heard back. Well, that was her old address. They knew enough to respond when she said, my address that's not my address. That was her old address. So they can scrape off the internet, again, your old address, your information, your maiden name, all the information's on the credit reports, etc. They get access, they can get a lot of history on each and every one of you. And so they said, you have a $2,500 fine each for two of them. She got in the car, drove to the bank, transferred $5,000 in front of the banker, had the person on the phone all along. Once that money hit, the guy came back and said, the caller came back and said, we just found one more. It's really, really old. It's a $10,000 fine. And the banker heard this and said, hang up. So if you get a call that is people that are not in your database or your phone contacts, you get a call requesting money, you get a call that's threatening you, hang up. Hang up. I'm just reiterating that for obvious reasons. So, potential causes of identity theft. Weak passwords. Do you know the number one password in the U.S. still today is passwords? Come on, give me a break. Unbelievable. I'm going to show you how to build a password that's safe for you, that you can remember, and you don't have to write it down every place that the thieves can steal it from you off your devices. Phishing emails. And it's not with a rod and a fishing tackle and a worm on it. That's sending a message to you looking to get your attention. See if you'll respond. See if you'll just play with them just a little bit. And once they get a hold of you, they take little bits and pieces in the conversation to bring you along a path to get you far enough down the road where they butcher the pig. Text links. Half of the phone calls coming into my tech fraud centers, in one in California, Sacramento, one in Chicago, half of the phone calls, microphone. Thank you. Thank you, John. I don't want to get too close to him. You'd probably throw something at me here. Half the phone calls are us seniors clicking on a text link, not email, not a phone call, a text link. Why? Because if you click on a text link that you don't think is, you don't take the time to evaluate. That's the problem. We don't take the time, although they're really good at making those links look very valid. Then it downloads malware onto your phone. Anybody here do banking online? Online. Anybody here do banking with an app on your phone? Those of you who do that, just please promise me one thing. You'll never click on a link that you're not familiar with, because that'll load malware onto your phone, and when you go into your bank to do your next deposit or transfer, it follows you right in, grabs all of your credentials, and does the pig butchering, takes everything. The thieves were in church. God is present. Thieves have no souls. They'll take every dime of yours they can get a hold of. And that just aggravates me to no end. It gets me fired up, if you will. So text link. If you're banking online with your phone, promise me you'll never click on a bad link. Otherwise, stop. Take that app off your phone. Phone calls outside of your contacts. How many people here get a phone call almost every day with a phone number, but there's no name attached? Right? All of us? Right? Block all phone. Go into your settings, real easy. Block all incoming, inbound phone calls that are not in your contact list. Now, some people have said to me, like Steck would say to me, I'm just using this as an example, Steck. Well, I can't do that because I got customers calling me and they're referred to me and I don't have them in my contact list yet, or they're prospects, whatever the case may be. If it's important, they'll leave a message. And before you give them any information, make sure that you're speaking to that prospect and not a thief. It'll tell you it's a scam probability. Yeah, I get those on my phone, and you can set that up. It doesn't get them all, though. That's the problem. And I get example after example on almost a daily basis of them getting past the contacts in your phone. But that's a first line of defense. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure if we assess the audience, it's all the time, right? Okay. So, personal identifiable information. Your email address is your new cybersecurity social security number, meaning they can do a lot of damage with your email address. Personal identifiable information is your name, your physical address, your email address, your phone number, any personal information that surrounds that, like if you've got a second home or another piece of property, a lake home or whatever the case may be. All of that is personal identifiable information that they can use to build their knowledge of you so that they can get under your skin when they make that call, when they send that phishing email, etc. Causes. Now, story number 3. It's about an 82-year-old man. Any of you guys recognize this guy? We should all look so good, right, at 82. Well, this story is not about Harrison Ford, even though it's nice to talk about Harrison Ford. I'm in Summer. Anybody know where Summerbees is in Franklin? The senior living facility? I'm over there doing one of these workshops, and I'm setting up and getting everything set up with tech. And a guy comes in, walks up to me, he's 82 years old, and says, I was just scammed out of $9,500 from my grandson. I said, okay, tell me the story. He did. And he said, this is what hit me right in the solar plexus. He said, that's the second time. How do you do that? They are so sophisticated, they got past him. He was cognitive, he and I talked clearly, etc. But they got 2 times. 2 times. Now, if someone says to you, they're a grandson or granddaughter, and you must go to the bank, get $5,000, put it in a FedEx envelope, and send it to New York, where your grandson is being held because he was just in a car accident, and a pregnant lady was a victim in this accident. Notice how they're building the seriousness, the curiosity, the nervousness, etc. I just had a guy come up to me in Murfreesboro after a talk and said just what I just said now. And he said, I woke up the next morning and said, what did I do? New York? He called his son in South Carolina and said, where's my grandson? And he said, he's right here in the house. But he didn't think first. He went ahead and acted. That's how strong they are in their message, if you will, to you. So, double impact. Twice it happened to the same guy. Hopefully that never happens to you. So, unsafe don'ts. Thank you. Unsafe don'ts. Don't use passwords with words in them. How many of you have a password with a word in it? I'm going to show you why that's important to change immediately. Okay? Number 2, don't give personal identifiable information out over the phone to anyone, even if it's your grandson or your son, and it may be. Always protect yourself by saying, okay, if you want information, I'll call you. And then you call your grandson, or your son or daughter, whatever the case may be, and find out, and usually in this particular kind of case, you'll find out it's a fraud. Don't pay bills with the USPS mail. What? On average, when I mail a check to American Express, it touches 13 people's hands before it clears my bank. Out of a client in Champaign, Illinois, wrote a check for $6,111 to Visa. Put it in the mailbox closest to his home. Got on an airplane, went to Mexico. He says, I check my bank accounts on a daily basis. And he said, I don't know what told me what message was coming to me, but I decided to look at that check and the payee on that check. That was who it was written to. And that check had a person's name on it. It had been photoshopped out. Okay, now if it hasn't left the country, you can get money back. I mean, you stop the whole process. But that kind of thing, if he had not stopped a day in, not stopped and looked at that check, he'd have lost it. Because he called the bank, and the bank said that cleared yesterday. So, real important. I would recommend that any bills that you have that are bills on a regular basis, that are American Express, MasterCard, any big bills, pay them online directly to that location. Don't send them in the mail. I know this sounds counterintuitive, and we've all been writing checks for 110 years, right, to pay our bills, but that's the case. That has become a real easy way to lose money. Especially any large amount. If it's a $50 check, don't worry about it. Okay. Don't email, text, or phone sensitive information. Texting is probably the most secure out of all three, but don't send any of your information, Social Security number included, driver's license. Because if I've got your Social Security number, I create your driver's license with a computer program. If I've got your driver's license, I can create your Social Security number with that program. And those two things is all I need to get employment in California and earn money and not pay taxes. But the bill comes back to you in your name. So don't use that information. Don't accept unknown incoming phone calls. I think I've talked about this enough. Make sure that when you're answering the phone, you know who you're talking to. And that's not an easy task, but it's better if you've got them in your contact list. Now I'm going to show you a couple of quick current examples. These are happening right now, current examples of phishing with bait. That's phishing, trying to get your attention with bait, a text message. This works so well to get into our accounts. Hi, this is Grace from Amazon Recruiting. Not too scary from the get-go. I viewed your profile. What's that mean? What's my profile where? On LinkedIn, my profile in the internet, on another location, my profile. There's lots of profiles out there. Great fit. You're a great fit for remote work. Look at this. A position, support Amazon updates, flexible hours, 60 to 90 minutes a day, 4 days a week, $250 to $500 per day, with a base of at least $1,000. And we provide 15, 20 days of paid vacation, and we are giving you annual vacation. Is that too good to be true? If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Okay? We have 20 openings, and if you're 25 or older, call this phone number. That phone number is a scam. So be careful with any phone call that you get, any request you get to call that phone call. Now, look at this guy here, and this is where I'm talking about the thought of a lonely person. And this is happening all of the time. Simply put, a very effective message. Not a number not in your contacts, that's another hint. A red flag would be, hey, how are you? I'm sure some of you have received the same message. Yeah, today? Yeah. When you answer, you have stated your interest in connection with someone. So they know from the get-go there's some little bit of loneliness there. Again, a red flag. Safety do's. Use strong passwords. And I say 16 characters or more, and I'll show you that in a second. Two-factor authentication. It's just another layer of air between you and the thief. Slow down. Remember, Security is not convenient. Convenience is not secure, right? Use credit cards versus debit cards. The readers out there on the debit machines or on the places like gas pumps, etc., are real easy to pick up your debit card. And when they have the debit card, they've got the total amount of money that you have in your checking account, whereas a credit card has laws of protection. Have a backup file. I think everybody knows how important that is, but so many people end up not having a backup and getting literally scammed to get all of their files and then end up in a ransomware attack where they're wanting money for them. Monitor your bank accounts daily. It only takes a few seconds to see if there's any irregularities there. Now, password security tips. If you got a password, and some of you said you have a password before, so if you have a password, I've got a computer program, if you have 10 numbers in that password. 10 numbers in that password. I have a computer program that can break that in 5 seconds. Okay? If you got a password with 8 multiple characters, different characters within that, just 8, I'll wait as a thief for 35 days to get your password because then I've got the keys to the city, right? So, I say 16 characters, uppercase, lowercase, symbols, or numbers. No words. No words. Okay? How long does it take, do you think, to break that password? Huh? So how many characters do I need in my password to make sure that you're not going to break it, thief? How many? 16. I'm saying that just to embed that into your mind. 16 characters. Real important. Okay, let me show you how to build a password real quickly, and I know I'm shy on time. Words of song. We live in Music City. There's got to be songs that you guys like, right? Or phrases, line of a favorite scripture, line from your favorite movie. Here's some examples. You can have it your way. Notice I take the first letter out of each of those words. First one being capitalized, and the rest being lowercase. How many characters do I have so far? 6, right? How many do I need? 16. Or the meek shall inherit the earth. Another good example. T-M-S-I-T-E. Same one. Well, I like this one. Somebody will laugh at me, but what movie? A Few Good Men. Thank you, John. It is, isn't that great? I love that. And that frown look on his face. So I'm going to use you can have it your way here just for illustration purposes. And this is going to be a BMO bank account, just so you know. So I'm going to build a password that you can remember that's yours. That's yours. Thank you. I need that. I need it. Build it that's yours and that you can remember. Because most people say to me, Jim, 16 characters? I can't remember that. Come on. I've got 42 logins and passwords. How am I supposed to remember all of those? I'm going to show you. You can have it your way. 6 characters so far, right? Everybody with? Can you hear me over there? All right. Then this is building your own password. I would say a question mark. When I questioned the house that I bought in 1951, that was my first house. Did I pay too much for that? Nobody knows what that 51 means. I can remember a question mark, 2 forward slashes, and 51. Now, how many characters do I have? 3. How many? 11. 11. Correct. And I need? 16. Okay. So I have a plus sign and an equal sign on the back of it. Now, how many characters do I have? 13. Okay, how many do I need? I know I'm being redundant, but you're going to come away thinking about 16 Okay? And so this is the password that I use for all my accounts. I can remember that. All I have to whatever. So all you have to remember, this works. All you have to remember is that basic password that I started with right there. And you can memorize that easy. I've had many people tell me it actually works. And I can remember passwords, lots and lots of passwords. So, and then I would use the two-factor authentication, which is when that bank or that company sends a 6-digit message to you that you put in after you put in your login and password to make sure it's you. It's two-factor authentication. Now, the industry is talking about going to 3-factor authentication, just for security purposes. But right now, that's where we stand. So, for those of you who've got a phone, I got a free gift for you right here. All you have to do is go to that link, and I'll give you some identity theft must-have tips. You can take a picture of that, and just to help you out, to put it in front of your mind, help you think through. I released a book because I got so tired of having to tell a story over and over orally. Pardon me? Go back once. Oh yeah, please do. Take a picture if you haven't already. I'm sorry. I went too quick. Everybody got that? Sorry. Please go ahead. Okay, ladies? Okay. Now, I wrote this book. For those of you, we talked pretty heavily about social engineering and passwords tonight. But there are 5 other areas that are being used against us each and every day right now. I wrote this book based upon what's happening in the last 12 months. And so for those of you who would like to have more information, please don't hesitate to get a couple of copies so that you can give it to your brother, sister, parents, kids, whatever the case may be. I have a few available, I think enough for everybody here. So pick up a couple of copies. If you wish, $22 a copy. It is packed with 7 stories of what has actually occurred right here in our backyard, how the thieves got to those people, and thirdly, how to keep it from happening to you. So it's 62 pages with the intent of getting a message across to you, because most of us don't want to read a 300-page or 500-page book to find those answers. I'm giving you those answers in 62 pages. So that's my offer to you tonight for any of those who want more information. Here's my contact information. If you need that, my phone number, my email address, all my personal identifiable information. Oh, I'm teasing. That you can steal from me. And I want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope I've just put a little bit of voice into your head, how to protect yourself and your family members. Share that with your brothers and sisters, and especially your children as well. It's a real important problem that we're faced with, and yes, we can do something about it, as I've indicated tonight. So thank you again. Any of you want a copy of the book, just let me know. And we can